This is Mark and Charity's Coffee Podcast.
Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast. Wednesday, September 6th today. Another scorcher in the Quinte region. Eastern Ontario. Will it be a record breaker? It wasn't yesterday, and I was shocked.
No, I was too. I expected it to be. I looked at my dashboard at one point yesterday, and this would have been about 1 o'clock, so about peak-ish.
Yep.
35 degrees.
That's what it said, right?
That's what it said.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, it could have just been because it was parked in the sun, but still, when I saw that, I'm like, oh, my God. But according to Environment Canada, we got up to 30.
30.0.
Which is not a record. 30.7.
7 was
the record.
But what surprises me is that had we set the record, we would have beaten 2018. I don't remember it being this hot 5 years ago. If you had told me that was 1955, I would have believed you.
That's without the humidex, though. Like, this is just the temperature. So maybe it was just 30 degrees, which would have been cooler than how it felt yesterday.
Maybe, yeah.
Yesterday felt like 100 degrees.
Normally, at this time of the year, common temperatures are 22 for a high.
And the coldest was set in 1942 at 3 degrees. Imagine that, going from like 30 some odd degrees.
Yeah.
3 degrees.
We skipped sweater weather. That's what we skipped.
My favorite kind of weather. No, I would be very upset. And today we're on track to. So the highest temperature for today ever recorded was 1996, 30.4.
Okay, so that's
and
what
today's
we got.
High is 31.
It's 31.
So there's a good chance we'll break it today.
Everybody start working on the victory speech. We're getting a weather trophy today. We are setting a record.
Well, you mentioned when we were doing the show this morning, cooling stations had reopened in the area, thankfully, so people can get in out of this heat. Splash pads, too, here in Belleville had reopened.
Are you serious?
The city
really?
had reopened the splash pads.
Holy smokes.
So kids who are still at home can get some relief during the day, and you can take the kids over after school, and they can cool off a bit. So that's good news, too.
Just the kids, eh?
Well, you could go over. Someone did mention that. I thought I saw so-and-so at the splash pad. And I asked, with his kids? Because the way they said it sounded like, no, he was just there on his own.
Sure.
Like, oh, that's kind of...
Excuse me, I pay taxes.
I paid for the splash pad. Sounded weird, but in this heat, I don't think it really is. If you have to cool off, if
just
that's your way...
walk through it.
Cool off. You have to.
Shirts and a
Be
shirt.
Be safe.
Go in. Leave. Oh, my gosh.
Be safe today.
Really, really hot. We'll keep our eye on that. Also going on, we're into our Throwback Thursday for tomorrow. I just want to talk about it because I got it wrong. I'm feeling badly about it.
You didn't get it wrong. I don't know why you say that.
I wanted you to have Margaritaville, and I was going to have Gary Wright because I'm old.
I told you yesterday.
I know.
I said you could have Margaritaville. I will take Gary Wright. Well, you should know. I will take Gary Wright. I don't know how many times I said, I will take Gary Wright.
Yeah, I came in this morning and I had Margaritaville on your button.
You're giving me Margaritaville.
I feel like we're not really voting teams this week.
Songs.
It's like these two songs from these great performers that we lost on the same weekend. Which one do you want to hear? Well,
and honestly, I do enjoy Dreamweaver. But up against Margaritaville, I would vote for Margaritaville too.
Yeah. I read, I'm sure it's everywhere, and I'm not the only one that's ever read the story behind the song, that clearly it's about a woman, that he wrote Margaritaville after meeting a woman and getting his heart broken.
Okay.
And then he just kind of sailed away to forget about her. And it was like, wasting away in Margaritaville. So he went to that little town to get over this woman, and that's really what the song was about. So that's what it sounds like it was about, Jimmy. It's like, because that's what it was about. So we're all shocked. It's like, no, seriously, really? Yes. It's a breakup song. It's a get over her song.
I didn't really think about it that much.
Yeah, exactly.
I just thought it was a nice...
Margaritaville, yeah.
It's just a nice, relaxing, we're on vacation. Because it's a song that became so much more. And I was reading that, too, everywhere. He had other songs, and you listed a few of them yesterday. But that particular song became so much more than just a song. It was a way of life. It was a state of mind. It became like this whole other entity unto itself that people could relate to and want to experience. I think for most of us, that just, as you put it, yacht rock, that calm. Let's sit on the beach and just enjoy life. Just sit back and relax and let it happen.
Neil Diamond, Sweet Caroline, same thing. It's its own thing now.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. In pop culture, absolutely.
And somebody asked Paul Simon about that. It's funny. You as soon as you said that, I said, I've heard this conversation before. A music journalist asked Paul Simon, when did you realize that Bridge Over Troubled Waters wasn't your song anymore?
Oh, really?
Because he said it's become so big and it means so much. It's not just your song. It's its own thing. And he said, and he even said, thank you for recognizing that sometimes it's just so big.
Yep.
That it's not even my song anymore.
Never thought of that one.
So Margaritaville, yeah, Jimmy Buffett, but it's not just Jimmy Buffett's song anymore. It's ours.
Well, and I think Jimmy Buffett became it's his song, of course, he's going to be associated to it.
Yeah.
But I think it became one and the same because I think Jimmy Buffett then became everybody's too.
Right. Yeah.
He was no longer just an individual. He belonged to everybody. And I think that's why so many people reacted over the weekend. It's like, oh my gosh, there's no more Margaritaville.
Right.
Like Jimmy Buffett's gone. It's almost one and the same, the two of them.
Yeah. And, the restaurants.
Yeah.
The whole image.
The bars, Key West,
the Caribbean,
everything.
all of that stuff. And it's like, oh, Jimmy, don't go. Don't go, man.
It's
bursting
a lot of bubbles for people.
But the thing is, true to Jimmy Buffett's style, he'd been suffering for a while and didn't talk about it. We didn't know.
Nobody knew.
Didn't want us to be bummed out about it, but also didn't give us a chance to say goodbye, had we known. But
you said yesterday about James Taylor.
James Taylor knew.
Wanting to get up and say goodbye to him or see him.
Yeah, so he had planned to go see him Saturday, and he died Friday. It was one of those things where it's like, I missed one more chance to
Another reminder.
Yeah.
That life is short.
Life is
Take
short.
those opportunities, much like Margaritaville, and
go
enjoy
when you can.
Yep.
Yep. Just not every day.
No. You may want to, but no. Everything in moderation.
Right. But Gary Wright and Dreamweaver, another great song. So choose which of those two songs you want to hear tomorrow after the 8 o'clock news, and we'll play that for you. So, with the same kind of thought in mind, immortalizing great people who have done great things, up comes a wall of honor that's going to be erected within the brand new sports facility in Campbellford for Trent Hills, coming up very shortly. And Jim Peeling's got a great idea.
Jim Peeling, one of the organizers, gave us the details. Nomination forms available this week. So we thought we'd check in with him.
Jim, tell me, how long has this idea of having a sports wall of honor kind of been floating around in Campbellford?
Well, you're not going to believe this, but the very first day was the day that the world stopped for COVID. On March the 20th, a few years back, a member of council came in along with two staff members. I'm a member of the local Heritage Society, and they tasked us with the idea. Being sports, I guess, minded all my life within the municipality, the board tasked me with the project. First of all, I didn't do anything for about 3 years because of COVID, but then I just went and visited some people, and unfortunately, two of the people who I visited have passed away, and they probably would have been maybe right in the first or second inductee list. But these things happen, and but anyway, the fruits of my labor finally come together. There is a 7-person board in the municipality of Trent Hills. We have 3 wards, I guess now they refer to them as Campbellford, Hastings, and Warkworth. There are 2 representatives from each of those wards, and I'm the ad hoc person because all of this is through the local Heritage Society, because we are a charity and we can take donations.
Okay.
And that's the reason why this form is there.
So what's the criteria if someone wanted to nominate someone, Jim?
Well, very simply is, I guess the big thing is that you must have achieved something or have accomplished something through your efforts. Achievement, I guess, would be more for a participant, like a player, like a hockey player, a ball player, that type of thing, as opposed to the builder category or a sponsorship category. The number one, and I hope the guys in Warkworth aren't going to shoot me here, but I think there's a very good chance that the 1972 Warkworth juvenile team will probably be one of the first inductees, because they won the All-Ontario Championship juvenile, I believe, double, it might have been D or E hockey as far as the category, but Warkworth didn't have an arena. And that championship team promoted through various different organizations and workers to build the rink they have.
Right. Well, isn't that what honor's all about, right?
Yeah.
You got her.
You
Yep.
achieved and you paved the way for others who can enjoy it today. Jim Peeling joins us. The Trent Hills Sports Wall of Honor is going to be erected in January of 2024. Nomination sheets are out in order for you to write down who you believe should be on there. Where can you get these sheets, Jim?
You can get them at the town hall here in Campbellford. The 3 libraries in the municipalities of Campbellford, Hastings, and Warkworth, and there are hard copies at those libraries, but you can also get the form any one of those locations as well. And of course, there's our Heritage Society as well here on Front Street, 113 Front Street in Campbellford. And if other venues do open up, we will definitely announce where you can get them. I am backed by 6 very prominent people. The first one, I'll go Campbellford, I'll go ladies first. Eunice Stately, who has been, I guess she's run the local curling rink
Yes.
at Rec Center for years, and I believe she's just retired, but she still has her foot in the door, I guess, helping out. She is on our Campbellford rep board, along with Pat Sheridan, who was a longtime resident. As a kid, pretty well was a captain of every team that he was associated with. And then in Warkworth is Terry English and Scott Newman, and I would definitely think that at somewhere point in time that Terry should be nominated because he has been the pulse of the Warkworth sports scene for years. And then there's Stuart Richardson and Jim Coveney from Hastings. And I would think that there's a pretty good chance that Mr. Dick Clapper might be one of their reps, okay, to be inducted.
Quite a collection. And being part of the Heritage Society, Jim, I know that you're quite familiar with the history of Trent Hills and you yourself, the experience you've carried. Has anything come forward that's not surprised you, but made you think, oh, yeah, I forgot about that, or I forgot about that person? That was such a great time. Have you heard any stories like that in recently?
Yes. Okay. How long is this interview? There's just to be honest with you, that's if there is one problem that we have, very simply is that I could probably name you 50 people that should be inducted.
Yeah.
But very simply is we may do it by decades, okay, but we're waiting to see who gets nominated. One of the things, this is kind of a sore spot, not a sore spot, but a sad spot when it comes to it. There was 2 people who have passed away in the last year who probably would have been in the first set of inductees. And then the thought has occurred, maybe we would delay their inductees, not for the first time, but maybe for the second, because maybe we would like to get somebody else a plaque before they pass away.
Right. Mm-hmm. Is there any thought to how large you want the first class to be?
We were thinking of the 3 municipalities, probably 12.
Okay.
Okay.
Give 4 from each one.
Yeah.
It kind of gives. We do basically have the 4 categories. There's I guess a volunteer category that I forgot, and we have a certain lady, and I'm not going to mention her name because I've been thinking, well, the heck, if there's one lady that deserves to be there, okay, she is probably raised. Well, I wouldn't even want to hazard a guess money because she has looked after the food booth at the arena for over 50 years. She's been the chief cook and bottle washer of it, and I think, well, I'm going to say her name's Carol Dunk.
Yeah.
Okay,
oh, yeah.
She definitely should be in there. And
the arena would be very different without Carol.
Well, the thing that gets me about it is the local minor hockey people. I know lives have changed, and people that volunteer, they'll hire a kid to go in there to take their place because they want to save their money to join the Campbellford minor hockey. And that lady is, I'm going to say to you, I would be estimated at least $600,000 to $700,000.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, over the 50 plus years.
And minor I know we're talking about sports, but minor hockey is just one organization she has helped.
I know.
She's involved in everything.
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't even want to hazard a guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, we wish you all the best, and I hope you're totally inundated with far more entries than you ever dreamed possible to show the enthusiasm for your project.
Well, like when council came, it was hopefully that it would kind of unite the 3 municipalities to a joint venture, and I would like to think that maybe this could be an impetus to do that. All right, but I've been, I guess, a sports figure here for, well, ever since I was a hockey player.
A long time.
My claim to fame is an Ontario Junior D Championship back in '67 with the Tweed-Madoc Twins. So ever since then, I guess I've had my foot in the door locally. And all I can say to you is that I sure hope it comes to venture, because I think there is so many people out there who have made this community the best damn place to live in the world. All right, and they need to be recognized.
March 20th of 2020 was when he got the idea, or at least the go-ahead. How long have you known, because you live in Campbellford, that something needs to be done, made bigger, more modern?
Well, I think when they first started... You mean with the Recplex itself?
Yeah.
We've been in need of a recreation center for a while.
No, I know
Trent Hills is growing leaps and bounds. So yes, we did need something, and something more central, as he pointed out, to incorporate all 3 wards. The Wall of Honor itself, though, I'd say short, because they've only released the plans, and building started last year, I believe, on the new center. So there's been rumblings, and with Wayne being so involved with hockey, he and Jim have been going back and forth. Yeah. They've had several conversations about people and who might want to be on the board, but also people who should be honored as well. Jim was very good to talk to Wayne about that. So I've known about it for a little while, that it was coming. It'll be interesting to see who the inductees are, because it's surprising, and I think every community feels that. There are some people that just... You may have forgotten, but then it comes to the forefront. It's like, oh, yeah, that person definitely should be on it. That person did this. In fact, I met one. We were at a ball tournament for Ben a couple of weeks ago, and this woman was there, and Wayne was talking to her, and he said, have you met my wife? And I didn't. He introduced me to her anyway, but she coached Wayne in ball when he played ball as a kid. And she was there watching the tournament because she had connections with other team members. Great to meet her, but I didn't realize she actually started the women's ball team in Campbellford back in the 1950s. She started women's ball.
Gosh, yeah.
Like stories like that that are starting to come out, and I thought, oh, that would be someone that should... Yeah. That Jim should talk to, or Jim should know about. So, but every community has that. And when you start to think back, people that should be maybe have the spotlight on them, it's nice to see that they're getting the recognition.
And they to have a first class with what he hopes, if the math works out, 12 inductees is impressive.
Oh my gosh. I didn't realize it would be that. I thought maybe 5.
Yeah, a lot tend to be, 5 in the first year. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was 5. Baseball was 5.
Because as much as I say Trent Hills is growing, it doesn't seem that big to me. So to have more than 5 in the first class, I was like, oh, but...
But a part of the notion of having the sportsplex is to bring them all together.
Yes.
Then let's do 4 from each, and let's show it is indeed for all of us.
All-encompassing, yeah.
It isn't all central in one area.
In Campbellford, it's Trent Hills.
So the library, pick it up there. The Historical Society, get them there. You're going to have some time. You've got to get them in. Is it November? Mid-November, do you say? January. Get those in.
Yes.
Then they're going to vote, and they're going to have a lot of discussion, and then they'll have the ceremony after all of that. So that's good.
You might be right. It might be November because they're announcing it in January.
So yeah, but you got some time. But as we learned from this summer, it flies by.
It does fly by.
Before you know it, it's November.
Yeah.
So, write those down. And Jim, thank you so much, man. We'll check in with him once they know the class, and that'll be great. Coming up on the show tomorrow, there is going to be a blues festival going on this Saturday. Carol Feeney, one of the organizers, is going to be on the show to tell you why this free event is something you should go to on Saturday.
First one here in Belleville.
First one. And it's free. Which is so good.
Yeah.
So get out there and enjoy some more of this great weather in downtown Belleville. So that's going to be going on tomorrow.
It's funny. We say summer flew by. It's still here.
Yeah, okay. Right.
It's still here this week, but before it moves on. Yeah, and it just continues to show the great events we have here in downtown. Like downtown's really come alive.
Yep.
This summer.
And this weekend, another great example of that. So Carol's going to be on the show tomorrow morning. Get your votes in again on Facebook for a Throwback Thursday. And all that coming up tomorrow with Mark and Charity Mornings. Stay cool. 95.5 Hits FM.